October 31st, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart on the NinjaTrader 8 platform. Go down in the descriptions below. You can see where I thought I saw setups as well as where I took my trades. Here's what the chart looked like today. There were two pieces of economic data that came out today. They were kind of in the early mornings and also right around the open. Well, right shortly after the open. One was the unemployment cost index, which came out at around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. You could argue it kind of hit a peak and then sold off. And then the second piece of economic data came at 7 a.m. right about here, which is this consumer confidence, which kind of, you could argue, made this big spike. Overall, trading was kind of in this big range, but you could argue it was kind of in a range and then it kind of rallied upwards. So it was kind of a slow day, but it wasn't quite as bad as it was yesterday. I took a total of 3 trades today, and in hindsight, I think pretty much all 3 were a little riskier, and it might have been an artifact of, might have been due to taking no trades yesterday and just kind of watching a very slow grind yesterday, which was very frustrating. And so I need to be careful of things like that because certainly taking a riskier trade implies that the setup wasn't the cleanest or the most safe. I'm going to go into the trades right now. This is the pre-market. So the pre-market looked like it opened, sold off, then it rallied. Looks like we're going to be either in a range because it was starting to pull back right before the open. So I was thinking maybe it's going to come up, maybe come back, test the bottom, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I wasn't sure that it was actually going to be a trending day. The market opens. I don't really see anything I like. You could say there's a new high, first entry long, second entry long, but there's no real setup here. It's just very tight, very congested. I drew this. I was originally playing with various channels coming down, but everything didn't seem to fit quite well until I eventually ended up with this red channel. I thought the red channel fits somewhat well. So it looked like it at least had 2 touches at the top. You could argue 2 touches at the bottom. It looks like it falls into this range. EMA is kind of holding prices down. And it chops around. I see the first setup is a new low here. It's a first entry long, first entry short, pulls back. Second entry short. Now this second entry short, this could be a potential fail breakout pullback because originally it had my range where this top solid line was and where this dotted line was here. Later, I dragged it down to the bottom here as more price action unfolded, but at the time, it was just kind of here to this midline. I thought this was a failed breakout, came back, and it looked like it tried to push once in, failed second time. And I'm thinking this could have been a failed breakout pullback, and it was the third confirmation of this descending red channel coming down. And so it is a possible resistance is hitting this red channel and coming back down. It's a decent signal bar, pretty good. It's above the EMA though, and it is going with trend. So after the close of this trigger bar, so I waited, so it closed. Then I was a little bit hesitant because if this trigger bar had closed down here, I would consider taking a trade because it looked like it might come back down and press to here. But since it pushed down and came right back up, pretty much closed near the EMA, it gave me pause. So I just didn't like the looks of that. Turns out it would have worked. So as soon as it came down and touched the second time, that's where I drew the midline. Actually, I dragged the range from where the midline is, this dotted line, dragged it down to here, and then this became kind of a 2-tiered channel. Thumbs up, kind of pushes back up through, chops around. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I do know it's possible range right here, but it's kind of tight. Looks like it has an overshoot here, comes back down. I'm thinking this might be a matching overshoot here. It comes back in. I do see a second entry short here. It's a new low here. First entry short pulls back. Second entry short, confirmed second entry short. Now this is kind of what I would call an almost setup because this signal bar is bullish, but it's a bearish character on this bullish bar because it closed really at the bottom. So it's what it's telling you is opened right here, did a bunch of things, and bulls couldn't push it above the EMA. So I was thinking it could also be a failed breakout pullback again, but I needed this candle to close bearish in red for me to feel confident. And once this candle closed, Definitely, you have a confirmed second entry short. But the trade looked like it's already been made and it's too late. The prices, because it would be pushing against this potential support right here. Flashes down, bounces back up. Just sitting on my hands, I think I see one leg, and I'm thinking there might be another leg to create a measured move up. I see a new high, first entry long, pull back. I'm thinking there's a second entry long and a possible trade here. Now, this is after the break of this green up channel. It made one attempt up, and this could be the start of a second attempt. And there's enough room to the top of the recent highs, and it's supported by the EMA. I think the signal bar was okay. If it had closed very bullish, kind of like a hammer up here, I would have been more inclined to have a trade ready. And of course, it moves up. I noticed there was a gap here. Prices then chop up. It looks like it creates a double top here. I'm just sitting on my hands. There is a bunch of second entries, but they're not very high probability. Just waiting. And it flashes down, it comes up, and I draw this trend line coming down. And originally, I wasn't sure where things were. So I had it here, and I had this as an overshoot. It came down, and I thought, okay, there's actually some kind of support down here. That's where I dragged it down to about right here. Technically, I have a new high here, first entry long, second entry long, but you gotta see it as a visual. New high, first entry long, pull back, second entry long. You also have a new low, first entry short, second entry short, a potential failure here. But this is kind of a very gradual bearish trend down. So I wasn't 100% sure which way was going to beat out the price action. So I just had to sit and wait just to be double sure. Prices then continue moving. It looks like this is a channel now. So there is a failed second entry short here. It's a new low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Looks like it's a failure right here. It's about to fail. Here it fails, but I just don't like the looks and the character of this setup. It just looks like it's a good signal bar here, but it feels very congested. Look at all this price action. It's just like side by side. It's kind of the middle of this trading range. There's barely enough room to make it to the top before you hit the EMA and even the localized high, which would technically be up here, but it feels like there's some kind of resistance right here. Then I do see this as a new high, first entry long, pull back, breaks down below and comes right back up. So it's like a hidden second entry long. I also saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short, potential higher low. Now, I kept, after the prices kept moving, I came back and looked at this and I was trying to see if there was actually a possible trade here because it is confirming the second entry short failure and the hidden second entry long. It's a strong break above this range, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't come right back down. I think this would have been an aggressive trade if it was taken, and I just in real time didn't quite see it. And in the yellow channel, it's coming right off the bottom, so there's a chance it could come back up and touch the top. So here, I certainly wasn't ready to take a trade, and if I was, I think I'd probably put it right lower, maybe right where the EMA is, to ensure I have enough room to scalp out before I hit the localized top. It looks like even if I did that, I would not have gotten filled, and the trade gone on without me. Then prices continue moving, kind of breaks down below, bounces off the bottom of this yellow channel again. I see a new low here. It's first entry short, second entry short. Looks like a second entry short failure as it flashes back up. And I don't like this in that the second entry short failure to go long, it kind of formed like halfway below the EMA and halfway above. So the first entry short was below the EMA. Second entry short is actually above the EMA. This is your signal bar. And it's a very big bar. And it flashed up and it took back the entire move below. And then this is an inside bar. So this was just a little confusing. Not that clear and obvious. So I decided just to wait, even though I just marked it, just so a little learning. Because it also coming against the resistance of this potential down yellow channel. But it was just a very strong bullish green bar that just had me kind of pause and think. But I'm glad I didn't take the trade. Prices then continue moving. Here, originally I had the top of the range up here, and I kind of dragged it down here just to make it match a little bit better. And I wasn't sure where the bottom of the range was. I originally had it up here, kept dragging it down until I finally landed it here. There was this big sell-off. There's no real way that I could see to enter this. Bounced off, it comes right back up, and this kind of helped reinforce the idea that this is the top of the training range instead of up here. And the same thing, as I dragged it down here, it looked like there's some kind of support here to to justify that, this is the entire range right there. This time it breaks through. We have a new low here. It's a first entry short pullback, creates a second entry short here. And when I saw this, I was actually thinking there's a possible trade, and I was going to jump on it. This is a little riskier. The reason I took this trade is I saw this as a possible breakout pullback. It's a good signal bar. It didn't quite bounce off the EMA, and it is kind of at the top of the range on the outside now. You could argue, depending on how you drew it, it could actually be breaking back into the range if you actually had the top of your range here. I've had it down here, so I took the trade. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why NinjaTrader removed my marker, but it was actually just one tick above. Actually, at the highs of this candle, it was at 41.95, and I was able to get out at 41.96 right here. Just a very quick 1 point scalp. It looks like it would have worked for a little bit more. Then prices didn't continue chopping. So I do say that this could have been a little bit of a riskier trade, because if you had drawn your trading range up here, then this trade might have just been skipped altogether. So it's the first green trade. Prices then continue moving up. So I kind of see the similar setup. So I saw a new low here. I saw first entry short pullback, second entry short. Again, it's at the top of this potential trading range. I'm seeing it bounce through. I'm also seeing this possible resistance here, a measured move from down here, one leg up, pull back, second leg up, and it had broken through. And I was thinking it's a break of this green channel. It already made a new high, but I also thought it could be inside this orange channel. So it was a little conflicting, and I'll admit that this second trade is a little riskier. I saw it as a potential repeat pattern of something over here. So I actually entered one tick above here, actually just at the highs again, 41.95.75. Flashed up, I was able to get out at 42.75. Again, another 1 point profit target, because during these last couple of days, things have just been really choppy. I wasn't going to be ambitious and try to take anything more. Prices then continue moving down. It chops around the top of this measured move, and it looks like it's starting to trend up. So the EMA looks like it's starting to hold and support. I saw this as a new high, first entry long, second entry long. It's a good signal bar, but it's already pushing against the top. So it's a no trade for me. Prices then continue moving up, and it's just like in this green channel going up now. It breaks and adjust this. Looks like it's starting to trend down. It breaks out of this yellow channel. It's just very congested, very small candles next to each other, getting a little slow. So I'm watching this. I'm watching and try not to be too eager, because I do notice as the day was going on, I kept looking back and reviewing my trades, and I thought, okay, this is actually a kind of a riskier trade. I should have probably skipped it. And this one's also a little riskier, because this one had more room to get to the highs, whereas opposed to this one, I'm already pushing against the very close highs. So this was definitely a safer setup than this one. And then the prices come to here. I saw this as a potential new high, first entry long, second entry long, and a failed breakout of this trading range. So the way I saw it is this green channel has come up, it broke out, tested it once, came back here. It looks like it's trying to test it again. So I entered, I waited for this candle actually to close, and I entered my entry at the highs, not one tick above. I just want a little more safety, one tick just at the highs of this. I was fortunate that this came back, filled me, and then just moved one tick up, which is all I was asking for. Quickly got out in the same candle, and then it looks like it failed. Afterwards, came down. This is just super congested. Nothing I like here. It's also near the end of the day, and it kind of just rallies up and goes into the close. So again, today, like yesterday, was very slow. This is the first day of the FOMC meeting. So they're actually going to provide the rate decision tomorrow, and that will probably create a lot of volatility tomorrow, especially when the Fed comes out around 11 o'clock Pacific Standard, and then Fed Chair Powell comes out and adds his commentary at 11:30. Now, most economists think there's going to be no rate hike. They're just going to keep the same and then potentially raise the rates in December. But nobody really knows 100% certain unless they're the Fed presidents. But as of now, nobody knows 100% sure what's really going to happen. Especially even the Fed shares that they do know what they're going to raise rates, they can't really predict which way the market's going to move. So it's going to be very interesting. Probably going to be very slow up until 11 o'clock Pacific Standard. Then after that, there could be a lot of volatility once the market has assurances or feels a little warm and fuzzy about what's going to happen. So hopefully that's helpful.